In this video, we're going to be looking at a Bible that I'm really excited about. This is the Legacy Standard Bible Handy Size Inside Column Reference Bible. The Inside Column Reference Bible, I think, has been very popular, but it is a big Bible. And I think they did a poll and wanted to see what Bibles people wanted them to produce. This is Steadfast Bibles. And people, I think, really opted in that poll for a handy size edition of this Bible. That was one of the top choices, if not the top choice. And so they have come out with this, and I think it's already, people are really excited about it, but I think it's going to be perennially very popular. The one we're looking at here that they sent me, and I thank them so much for sending this to me for review. It is a goatskin edition, so it comes in this really beautiful box. The side here tells you about it, the ISBN number there. It is a edge-lined brown goatskin red letter edition. The box for the goatskin editions is a two-piece, really good quality box. You see on the back here, 316 Publishing. They're located in Southern California. And they do have other cover options. I think they have more like a cowhide edition, which is less expensive than this, but still very nice. And also a faux leather edition, if you want something more economical. But the goatskin editions, these are the highest end editions that they offer. And you can see here, just looks really good. These are printed in Korea. I think they're printed and bound in Korea. And they're really nice. Some of their Bibles are from the Netherlands, and I'm going to actually show a comparison of this with some other Bibles later in the video. But these Korean ones are very nicely done, and for what you're getting, they're quite affordable. The spine on the Steadfast Bibles, the Bibles that they produce, really has a unique look, but I think a very classic look to it. Spine hubs, you can see there how they're spaced out kind of in a unique pattern, but allow space here for the logo and the Legacy Standard Bible. I really like that. And of course, Holy Bible, Steadfast Bibles, the Bible publisher. So that looks great. And looking at the Bible in more detail here, you see it does have gold page edges and 3 ribbons, angle cut, double-sided, really nice color scheme. And the gold, by the way, does have red undergold there, as well as a gilt line, which has a pattern to it. And as they said, it is an edge-lined construction, holding the cover with the text block here, nice and sturdy and yet flexible. That's one thing really nice about edge-line construction. You get that flexibility with the cover. I don't know what the liner is, but you can take a look at it there. Looks really nicely done. And this is not like the thickest leather, but it is really, I would say, good quality, nice, solid build to this Bible. They have cardstock at the beginning and end of the Bible, which helps to reinforce it, give it a sturdier feel. Really nicely constructed. There's a lot I like about this Bible. And so as I'm just going to go through this here, I really have only positive things to say. You know, people are always going to say, well, I would prefer it has this, that, or the other thing. But at the end of the day, they have to make choices, and I think that they've made great choices. The paper in this is great. The printing of this, I mean, I just love the design of their Bibles. And so you can see here, it's typeset by 2K Denmark, but it is printed in Korea. There's a look at all the other ISBN numbers for different editions. You have the forward to the LSB. And it is also, as you can see already here, you've got red highlights, so two-tone printing there. The books of the Bible, Old Testament title page, and it is easy to hold. That original edition of the Inside Column Reference Bible. It's a big Bible. This one, though, I'm really glad people advocated for them to produce this, because it's nice to have all of those references, and you're going to see just a great layout, but now in a really holdable format. And by the way, just to give you an idea of the dimensions on this, with the cover here, it's about 9.5 inches by 6.5 inches by 1.5 inches. So that's the estimate of the cover size. Text block is a little bit smaller. When you get into the Bible here, it is a really nice format. And all they did, I think, is take the full size and shrink it down some. And so what you end up with here is that size that I just showed you. Actually, the text block is a little bit smaller than that. So if I measure the pages, so it's just over 8, about 8.25 inches high for the text block, and about maybe 5.5 inches wide, roughly speaking. So really good page size, and yet you're getting a 9.5 point size type. For the biblical text there, you can see that it has all the verses separated out there, and the verse numbers all the way on the inside column, separate from the text. I really like that. It's not something you see very often with Bibles, the way this is formatted. It makes the verse numbers easy to find, but when you're reading the text, there's no numbers in the text itself. And again, it's verse by verse, so really easy to pick out which verse you're on. Good for teaching, good for preaching, good for study. Inside the column here, the inside column has lots of cross references on the top, and then notes on the bottom, translator notes on the bottom. And this says, again, it's a 9.5 size type. I'm going to compare it to another Bible that's listed as the same size, but this to me actually reads a little larger than what they're saying. They say 9.5, but if someone had told me 10, I actually wouldn't be surprised by that. Again, that two-tone with the red highlights looks really good. So the color scheme of this, the printing of this, really well done. And, they've packed a lot in here. They really have, and yet I don't think the page looks too busy. The line spacing is maybe a bit tight, but still not bad at all for all that they're trying to get in a manageable form factor. And it's still really, I think, quite easy on the eyes. So I'm really impressed with what they've done here. Let's look at the poetry. And you can see here, really nice with that single column formatting. It's great. I like how they have the lines kind of separating here so that you can see which references go with which psalm. Same with the notes here. The paper in this does have some show through, but not too bad. It does look like it's line matched. So that line matching really helps with helping the ghosting not to be too distracting. And honestly, the paper feels great. It has more of a matte finish, so even in the light here, I'm not getting too much of a reflection. And the print itself, really, I would say kind of a nice balance. It's not like super bold, which sometimes can bother people if it's too bold, but it's also not in any way too light of a font. It has a nice heft to it. So, I mean, there's not really much to criticize here. It's about as perfect as you could ask in terms of its production, so far as I can see. The New Testament here, title page looks great. I really love just the design of everything, the way that the print looks itself, the font design, the typeset. I really love it. And you will see here it is red letter, So people have mixed opinions on that, but I know that there are many people that really love the red letter text for the words of Christ. And publishers have to sometimes make a choice, especially in the first printing, how they're going to go about it. And I think there was a high demand for red letter. Of course, there are going to be people saying, no, I want black letter. And maybe they'll do that in the future as well. But, I've heard people say, as long as the red letter is done well, they don't mind it. And that is, I think, really true here. This red letter looks very nice. And paragraph separations, by the way, are marked by bold verse numbers. So you can see some bold verse numbers there. Those are the new paragraphs. And as we get to the end of the Bible here, we're going to see the page count lands at 1590. So that's not bad. I mean, that's a good amount of pages. It's not a thin line, but it's not a ton of pages. So it's actually still, I think it was about 1.5 inches wide. Still really manageable in its size. You got a monetary units chart here, weights and measurements, and then the maps. And the maps are on Bible paper, and they are in black and white, but each map gets its own separate page. So, again, they're having to weigh out the choices that they make. It probably would cost more to print these in color and put different kind of paper back here. Personally, I think this is great. And it's a reference Bible. So having maps, I think, adds to the study features, and you could write things here. I know I heard one person saying they'd like this to also have a concordance. But again, some people will say when they put concordances in the Bible, some people will say, why did you do that? I can just look up stuff. I don't need to have that in my Bible. It just takes up space. So, publishers are always getting mixed feedback. But I think they've made great choices for this Bible. You even have dot matrix paper in the back here, a little bit of that for notes. So several pages of the dot matrix paper. And then, as I said, cardstock on both sides of the text block. Really nicely done. Now, this is very similar to another Bible that I have, also printed and bound in Korea. This one here is the 2-column verse-by-verse goatskin edition. And just to show you, now this is a 10-point font size in this one. And this one they said is 9.5, I believe. So if we take a look at the two together, yeah, I would say, I guess the one on the right is maybe a little bit bigger. But I mean, I don't know. It's actually quite hard to tell. So these have a real consistent quality to them. I will say between these two that I have, this double column had a tighter binding when I first got it. So I've had to really work to make it so that it opens up and lays flat. I don't know at the beginning here if it still does lay flat. Yeah, see, that still wants to close on me. But the beginning of this Bible, I think it's going to lay pretty flat. So this one has, I think, a good balance. It's not too loose in the binding so that it feels flimsy. I think it's nice and sturdy, and yet it's loose enough that it's laying quite flat there. And I think for a Bible like this, that, again, you could teach out of this very easily. It's really good. That's a great feature when it lays nice and flat. So I do wish on this particular one, for whatever reason, this particular run of these 2-column Bibles in the goatskin, a little bit tightly bound. Still a really good Bible, though, another good option. But this one, as you can see here, does not have cross-references. I don't even think it has really any translator notes. So very minimal. But for carrying around and as something just as a text Bible, again, sometimes it's nice just to have the text and nothing distracting. But if you want more study features, you really can't go wrong with this inside column reference Bible. So just wonderful options. They also, as you can see here on their Bibles, give you sometimes the choice of indexed versus non-indexed. So if you prefer to have something to help you find the books of the Bible, that's another option for a Bible like this. You can go either way. But let me compare this to the original, the first Bible that I think was produced by them, the first Bible that had the Old and the New Testament with the Legacy Standard Bible, is the handy size. This is just a single column edition. And this is listed as a 9.5, I believe. But when I compare these, I would say the one on the left looks bigger. I'm not sure why that is. It could just be they've modified the font some. Maybe it's a little bit wider. I'm not sure. If you have any thoughts or maybe inside information, leave that in the comments section. But to me, this inside column reference reads a little bit larger than even this original handy size edition. Now, this one's printed in the Netherlands. So I would actually say in some ways this is maybe even a little higher quality, even though this is the Italian cowhide edition, the cover. That text block printed in the Netherlands is really nice. That being said, Korea really gives them a run for their money. They really do. And when you compare these two, yeah, technically the one on the right here is a little higher quality text block, but this one here from Korea is still really nice. And so, I mean, again, you have great options. I'm not really saying that one is demonstrably better than the other. It really depends on your use and your preferences, because this one here gives you nice space to write in the margins. And again, very clean if you just want something that has the text and to be able to write your own references and your own notes in here, then this handy size edition is really nice. So another thing here, they've really, I think, developed a design language that's very consistent from the beginning here. This is the early edition to this newest edition. I love the consistency. I think that's something that some publishers don't do. They'll have all different kinds of looks. And I understand, I mean, variety can be nice. But I think that establishing that consistency of design, it's just one of those things that when you look at this now, you're like, oh, I identify it as a steadfast Bible. Plus, I think it really is a good look. And so it's nice to have just that consistency of something that looks so nice. So I think that's pretty cool. That's really all the comparisons that I wanted to do. And again, I want to reiterate that I think they did an amazing job on this. I really don't have anything negative to say. I think this is one of the best Bibles that has been produced this year, certainly for the LSB, but I mean, honestly, with all the Bibles that are out there, and we are in a time, like kind of a golden age, I call it, of Bible production, and I would say this is really part of that. You can see that reflected here. And among all the Bibles that are being published right now, I would say this is one of my favorites. And I'd love to hear any thoughts or comments or questions that you have in the comment section below. But thank you so much for taking a look at this Bible with me from a fresh perspective.